Hi, Flosstube. Sorry, making adjustments here. It's Diane. Thought I would do an update video. What are we going to talk about first? Life updates? Are you going to say, I turned 3? Say, yep, I am 3 years old now. Can you believe it? I'm 3. What'd you get for your birthday? Do you remember? Do you remember? Did you get Toy Story Legos? Oops, my finger's annoying. Toy Story Legos? Thomas the Tank Engine, didn't you? Thomas the Tank. He likes Thomas the Tank Engine. Okay, so I'm an amateur, people. So, yes, this guy turned 3 years old on the 26th of October. Hard to believe he's 3. Then again, they always talk about terrible 2s. Then you have a 3-year-old. Yeah. And you're totally filling in, aren't you? You're fulfilling that 3-year-old prophecy thing. Anyway, other life news since last time I talked to you. My oldest daughter had her recheck with the oncologist. Good to go. She'll have another check in 3 months. My Marine will be home this week. He's going to go deer hunting, so he's coming home. Oh, I have it written down upstairs on the calendar. So he's coming home. He'll be home for probably about 8 days or so, and then he's received he won't be home for Thanksgiving, but he's received the information about Christmas time, and I think what they do is don't touch. Different groups, they have like blocks of time, and you put in for one, and if you get it, so then they still have the basics covered, but most of it's down. So it'll be nice to see him. He hasn't been home since Christmas. We saw him in March, but he hasn't been home since Christmas. What else is going on? My husband, he's starting a new treatment this week. The goal of this treatment is that he won't have to do infusions every 2 weeks. We'll see how that goes. That's the goal. And yeah, I got these new glasses and I'm not liking them at all. They just like hand me the glasses in the store, and at this place, when I've gotten glasses in the past, they're like, you know, tweaking and making sure, but these have been giving me headaches, and just I'm not happy with them. I did order online to get a cheap pair of sunglasses, prescription sunglasses. I like those, so I might just order them online. Who knows? So he wants me to start with this pile over here, so that's where we're going to start. I'm trying to think if there's any other life updates. They're getting ready for deer season this next weekend. Here in Minnesota, it'll be the first. There's 3 weekends in a row, and so this next one will be the first weekend for hunting. It's a little later this year, but that's okay. So then we figured out that it'll be myself and the youngest 5, and then one of my older sons, because I think I told you guys his car broke down. No, I don't think I told you guys. So he's having a problem with his car that he bought with his own money, and he wants to be an auto mechanic, and it was just something he couldn't do. So he takes it to the dealer. We go pick it up. They want to charge him $8,000. And he's like, what? Well, because this is wrong, and that's wrong, and this is wrong, and that's wrong. But it's a part that only a dealer can put in, is the problem. So he got him negotiated what he wanted them to do and what he didn't want them to touch. He's like, I can do that. That is something I can do. So we go and we pick it up. and he paid them $1,400, and he had owed a little more money, and then, but he was going to pay it the next day because of limits on cards and all that stuff. I mean, he had the money in the bank. We even called the bank, and they're like, well, yeah, the money's sitting right there, but we can't authorize payment. Why not? It's just so silly. Anyway, it was a good thing, though, because his car broke down within 8.5 miles of the dealer. As in, I was sitting in the car behind him, and I could hear something was going on. He pulls over. I followed him. And we were safe. We're totally off the road where he pulled into. And there was a squeak and there was a knock that wasn't there before. And I don't know anything about cars, but he opened the engine and there was a cover on part of the case. There were no bolts. Mind you, there's holes where bolts were supposed to be, but the bolts were not there. So either they fell down and through the engine, or they just never put them back in. Well, those covers are there for a reason, and they need to be tightened to a certain point because, you know, engines, my limited understanding of engines, the air-gas ratio and all that stuff, there's a reason those things are there. And they screwed up the timing belt, which ruined his engine. So we had it towed back to them. I called and said, I'm not making any more payments till you guys fix this. And so essentially, they wanted to put it... They admitted that they needed to put a new engine in. Not admit that they never admitted it was their fault. How do we know that it was? You didn't have all this other work done. So they were trying to still get that $8,000 out of him. And so he said, "Nuh-uh, I'm not paying because you guys messed this up." And yeah. So he is trying to get his car up and running. I mean, in the long run, it's going to be a good experience for him if he wants to be an auto mechanic, but in the short term, it just sucks for him. Because he put all that money in, and he researched cars, and he knew exactly what he wanted. I mean, we're not talking a supercharged, you know, Mustang, Charger or whatever. I mean, he wanted an efficient, fuel-efficient car. Yeah, he knew exactly what he wanted. He did the research. So it's frustrating when your child goes through that. So he's still figuring that out. We do have another vehicle that he can use in the meantime. But yeah, it's just frustrating. Anyway, aside from that, Minidot has indicated we are to do this pile. So we'll start with this pile. You ready to start with the pile? I received my fabric of the month from Fiberlicious, and it is this fabric, which is absolutely gorgeous. This is 32 count Belfast. It is called A Dance of Autumn. Make sure you can see that. No. Don't drink that. And I got it, and I'm like, oh, I have to find something to stitch on it. This one's going on there. Nora Corbett, Miss Colombian Nymphalid, NC242. All of her sisters, I have 3 of her sisters done, 3 of the 6. I know that one is Goss, and I can't remember what the other one is. But they're all on kind of bright, in-your-face fabrics, and the blues will be absolutely amazing on there. So I have that one kitted now, well, except for the metallic. Yeah, this one now. And then I was trying to figure out this one, Celtic Bee, that I picked up at Galleria by Textured Treasures. I think that is just beautiful. It's all DMC except the wings are a metallic. I don't have that particular metallic, but I went through my fabrics. I was trying to kit up some things, and I went through my fabrics, and this is the one that I chose. Fiberlicious, 36 count. This is my jam. Kind of coming through kind of the yellow orangish look, but this is the fabric. This is my jam. This one is 36 count because for a time in her fabric club I was doing 36 count. And I think I might switch back to 36 count after the first of the year, just to have some variety in the fabric counts that I have. So I kitted those two up. And the other haul that I received was this Bella Filipina Anemone. Now this is just a computer mock-up. I can't imagine how beautiful this looks in real life. The one thing, he doesn't have like all the, you have to open it up to get in there. But that one is pretty. And then I ordered this one, but I will show that one in a minute. So let's show some whips, shall we? I showed this one last time, and I picked it up in Galleria. Okay. This one, Twinkle Twinkle by Rosewood Manor. I saw this as a model, and it was amazing. I love Karen's designs. And I'm stitching this on 28 count. I'm not sure what that was. Color and cotton. It does call for all petite treasure braid. I am going to change the lettering because of the fabric I chose. And I am missing my needle. That is not a good sign. But here's where I'm at. I was working on this guy, which is the largest motif. So he's all done. And then I started on this one. I'm sure my needle's in my bag somewhere, because I don't see it. I don't think it flew on the floor. But yeah, isn't that just beautiful with all the sparkle? He's trying to see. So yeah. Keep working on that one. Oh, there's my needle. No, that's not my needle. Where's my needle? To make sure I don't get it in my foot. So that one I was working on. And then... Yeah, I know. I have a new start. Beth Twist from Heartstring Samplery. Hibernation Day. You can really smell the smoker. Our smoker is smoking a turkey for dinner tonight, so I can really smell it right now. Anyway, I bought the threads at Galleria. And I came home and I was thinking, oh, I might go to Stitchville and get fabric. Well, I looked at my own fabric and I had this piece. And I thought, oh, I wonder if this would work. And it does. This is 28 count Ren Picture This Plus, and here's where I'm at. The pictures do not do her patterns justice. These colors look absolutely amazing on this fabric. And what she stitched on was 28 count, 1 strand over 2 threads, which is what I am doing, because that's what I have. And I don't remember if the pattern said what it was stitched on. I got the impression she coffee tea dyed a piece of fabric for it. Could totally be wrong. Hey, don't touch. Spill something. I could totally be wrong on that. But the piece of paper is not jumping out at me that would say what it was actually stitched on. It's over, her patterns are very nice to read. They're very nice symbols, very nice size pages. And this particular one has like 4 2/3 pages with the pattern stitched over or charted over. Her model was stitched on 28 count natural. Okay. The reason I kind of stopped on this one is the next band after this one, they are white snowflakes. And I did start stitching the called for color, which is shaker white. You guys can't see it. I can't see it just standing here. So I need to change that white because of my fabric. I have a couple of color and cotton over dyed whites, and I thought if that doesn't work, then I'll do B5200 or DMC white or 3865. Is that the snow one? Snow white one? I was going to try some different whites that I have because I want them to stand out, and the other motifs around it, it's not something that if you stitch the motifs around it, it'll jump out at you. It's not that type of color or design. Yeah, I know, Daddy just messaged me. Daddy can hold off for a minute. So I pulled this guy out, Freedom Ring by Lila Studios. And I had this whole building stitched, not back stitched, but stitched. And I had all of these trees here done. So I've been working on these trees. Please don't shut stuff unless I ask you to. Don't fall, please. 36 count. I think it's properly primitive. It's an Under the Sea Fabrics primitive. I think it's properly primitive. But this is where it is at. So I've got about half the trees in. I've got a chunk of the bushes in those arches down there done. There are 2 colors on the bushes, and I have 1 color done. And then I just have, I think, 2 of the larger trees, or 1.5 of the larger trees. And then I'm going to start the back stitching. When I have the back stitching done, I'm not sure what motif I'll go to from there. But yeah, that's from Lila Studios, Let Freedom Ring. The reason, well, I love this pattern, but another reason that this jumped out at me is because I purchased this one with the needle part 2, or with the needle 2 by Lila Studios. I figured before I start this one, I need to finish that one. This one is just gorgeous. If you've not seen this one, I think it would look cool if somebody stitched these 4 scenes and then put them like in separate frames, but like zigzag them, you know, on the table for display. I'm going to do the whole thing. And this one is charted for some DMC, but a lot of Classic Colorworks. And I think I'm going to do it in 40 count because 40 count would be a fat quarter size. If it's 36 count or 28 count, 36, 32, or 28 count, no. Then it would be, I'd have to get a bigger piece. I'm thinking, so it's stitched on 40 count express, so I'm thinking just a flax. I like that 36 count flax. I don't know if they make 40 count flax available at Stitchville. I'm going to be at Stitchville on Wednesday because my husband's going to be doing this thing at the hospital or at the clinic, and it's going to take several hours. So I'm like, well, do I just sit there and wait because he needs a driver? And he said, no, while I'm sitting there, why don't you go to Stitchville? Okay. Asked me twice. So yeah, this one's just beautiful. And it says flowers, plants, and fishes, beasts, birds, flies, and bees, hills, dales, plants, pastures, skies, seas, rivers, trees. There's nothing near at hand or farthest sought, but with the needle may be shaped and wrought. The sampler is inspired from a quote by John Taylor, 1634, from the book Embroidery Motifs from Old Dutch Samplers. She had this as her original design with the needle. So this is revamped a little bit. I don't know if the first one's still available. Check her Etsy shop. Check her Etsy shop. There was a discussion about that, and I don't remember what everybody said. Whoops, sorry. If I show it the right way. But yeah, this is just beautiful. So I have to finish Let Freedom Ring before I do the second one. Because I made that rule for myself. Sit back, please. So I was working, yesterday I sewed up some project bags. And so I used Primitive Stitcher's tutorial, and I'll link it below. And Suzette. Her tutorial it's a long tutorial, but she really, I mean, like if you have never sat at a sewing machine before or very new to a sewing machine, is what her tutorial is geared toward. I've been sewing for a very long time. So for me, what I did is I just skipped to the parts that I needed, and it still was very, because there's one step that she does in these bags. It's so obvious, but if I just try and, oh yeah, this is how you do it, I screw it up. So I always watch that part of the video. But this is her size, which is roughly 14 by, what is this, roughly 14 by 13 by 11? I think it's roughly 14 by 11. I make mine 16, so I add 2 inches to the width and I believe an inch to the height. And I can put my lengths that I use, I can put that in the description box below, because this is what my bags look like. And I wanted to give you some comparisons so you can see the different size. I like the little bit bigger bag, just preference. Stop. Now. Just my preference. So I made some bags. I bought this in Rochester. This fabric, I got this in Rochester, except for this dark green, because I screwed up. The Quilting Cupboard, I think is what it's called, Quilt Cupboard. But you can see they're all the trees with the fall colors. And I originally had, this was going to be my contrast, just a green. And then I got rotary cutter happy or something, I don't know. But I ended up not cutting the right pieces. And then what I do when I cut something out is I have the leftovers sitting there on my cutting mat. So then I cut them into 5-inch squares, 2.5-inch strips if I can, 5-inch squares, and 3.5-inch squares, and 2-inch squares, 2.5-inch squares. That's just how I store my extra fabric. One of these days I'm going to make a scrap quilt with all those pieces. We will see. But I screwed up, so then I had to go to my stash. This green here, it's kind of like a pine bough green. It's kind of sparkly. It's like a Christmas fabric from a few years ago. But it works on this fabric with the orange. So that's one of them. And this one is all the bottle caps. These are soda bottle caps. I was going to look online. Please don't. You're going to spill something. I was going to look online to see if these were actual brand names at some point in time, but I didn't do that. Same thing here. I screwed up on my measurements. I got rotary cutter happy. So I had to change this fabric, which again was from my stash. It's just kind of a black with like gray scribbles all over it, but it works. And this was supposed to be my contrast, the swirly orange, but it works for the lining. So there's that one. And then there's this one, the cocoa mugs. I loved this fabric. This fabric and the bottle cap fabric, and the next one I'll show. These were from Pine Mountain Quilts. Pine Mountain Quilt. Not Pine Mountain, sorry. Pine Needle in Rochester. And I saw this and I thought this, I love the teal and the reds and the browns. And this one I did not screw up. So this is the contrast fabric I actually bought for this piece. I did add a little piece of trim that I had using a froth on the cocoa. And the lining is this contrast is the lining. So there's that one. And this one's my favorite. This one is my favorite. Again, the cocoa mugs. I like this part. This is my favorite part of this design. But I also like the peppermint sticks and this coffee mug that has peppermint sticks on it. So I added some trim also on this one that I had in my stash. This trim I got a long time ago. I don't even remember where I got it from. And then the interior is this same teal with the peppermints. But yeah, so that's what I did yesterday. I did 4 bags. And it took me all day because, yeah. Anyway, I've been thinking about Year of Whips for 2020. And Melanie did put out her video explaining what is expected in Year of Whips 2020. I will link that below. And it could take me a couple days to link it, so if it's beyond that point, just gently remind me. I don't know if I'm going to do Year of Whips for the prizes. I think I'm going to do Year of Whips my own way. Yeah, not that it's going to be, you have to jump through 50 gazillion hoops. Melanie tries not to avoid that in all respects. She works very hard at it, and I'm glad that every year it's just a little bit different, so it's not the same old, same old. I like that. It's kind of geared in with Stitch from Stash also. And these are Facebook groups, Soulful Stitching and Stitch from Stash. There's a year attached to it, because there's a couple of Stitch from Stash groups. I'll try and link both groups below. Anyway, I like what she has planned. I just don't think, for me, I don't think it's feasible. That being said, I'm going to take some of her ideas and make my own Year of Whips. I am seriously thinking 2020 for me is going to be a year of samplers. I have some started, I have some ready to go that are kitted, I have some that I am kitting up to do, and so I'm going to kind of adapt her Year of Whips into my method, which there's two ways you can do Year of Whips. Your own way that I'm going to look at doing, and Melanie's way, which she has described. She is very clear about it. You don't have to stand in your head, okay? She's very realistic in her expectations. Just where my life is right now, it's not feasible in that respect. And I really like Melanie. You gotta watch her videos because she's funny, and her stitching is amazing. Anyway, I'm thinking of doing a year of samplers, and I have Freedom Ring. I have the With Thy Needle 2. I have 3 Shakespeare's Peddler samplers. I have Garden Stars, which is technically a sampler. I have the Beth Twist one. Oh, I didn't have that. I received the pattern that I'd ordered at Galleria that she didn't have, and I put it away. It must have been the Mistletoe. You can look it up on 123 Stitch. That would be another sampler. It's just one color, which is actually used in the hibernation day, so any leftovers from there I can put into that. Yeah, so I'm still noodling on it, kind of doing an inventory type of thing. I know I'm going to be at Stitchville this Wednesday the 6th. Probably right as they open, because his appointment starts at 8 in Golden Valley, and then I can go to Minnetonka, and they open at 10, and then do my thing at Stitchville, go to Panera, just on the same strip mall, take lunch back to him, and then he starts a second course of medication. I think that's the schedule. I don't know, it changes, but he, this new course of treatment, there's 4 treatments he'll receive. This first one is the one that you can have the reaction to, and they want somebody there to drive, to monitor him, to give him a good swift kick if he needs it, so he can go to the doctor. Yeah, that should have been in our wedding vows. Give him a good swift kick when he needs it. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. But Monkey is being himself, and yes, you are. I think it's almost your lunchtime. So I'm going to let you all go. When I decide what I'm doing for Year of Whips, I'll let you guys know in case anybody wants ideas or join me or any of that. I would recommend, if you need a new floss tube channel, Brenda and the Serial Starter. They're so funny. And Stitching with the Sisterlies. Those are 2 that are newer to me that I wish I would have watched earlier. So just want to throw that out there. And I'll try and link theirs below. I'm going to try and like every video link 2 or 3 people I've been watching, and some of them I've been watching for years and some of them I haven't. Oh, I did want to say one thing. This is my 5th year on FlossTube. My first video was October 28th, 2014. I'm thinking of doing something. Haven't quite formulated it. So you can keep an eye out for that. So there'll be some kind of giveaway thingy involved. I think what I'll do is something for domestic US and then something for any viewers outside of the US. Yeah. I have 2 different ideas. But I'll let you guys go. And I'll let you know about that. And I thank you for watching and subscribing and hearing me babble on for 30 minutes. And not being too distracted by monkey ear. But yes, I love this community. I'm thoroughly enjoying this craft again. It's really ignited the love of it in me these last 5 years. So I will say bye. Oh, I should say today is November 2nd. No, November 3rd, 2019. Should have started out with that. Still very amateur. I've been doing this 5 years. I still don't know what I'm doing half the time. Of course, I've been a mom for 27 years. Still don't know what I'm doing half the time. But I'll let y'all go. Love to you all. Bye.